Now you need to turn on both units. First, press and hold the power button on LCpro T and do the same for OS5p Plus or OS1p. Once the welcoming screens of both units are visible, the LCpro T will display a warming up message. This lasts for around 5 minutes. The first thing to do is to set the date and time to be identical on both the fluorometer and the gas exchange unit. For the OS5p Plus or OS1p, enter the System Setup screen and use the plus and minus keys to adjust the time and the date. Adjust the date first and then start to adjust the time. This goes by 24-hour clock. You can adjust the time to the minute level, but not to the seconds level. Next, we wish to adjust the time and date on the LCpro T. Enter the Configure screen, press More and press More again until you see Time Date at the top left. Press Time Date. Again, the time is in 24-hour clock. You can adjust the hours by using Change Plus and Change Minus. Press Select to select and change the minutes in the same way. You can also change the seconds on the LCpro T. In this way you can match the time exactly with the OS5p Plus or OS1p. Here the time is 2 minutes past 4 and we can adjust the seconds on the LCpro T to match. Press the Power Page button to exit this menu and next press Configure. Check that the broad chamber is selected. This is correct. On the fluorometer, exit the Setup page and return to the main menu. View the Data Management page. This is where you can see your stored files. On OS5p Plus, a new data file is automatically selected. You can proceed to open an existing file or select New to create a new data logging file. Name your data logging file using the keypad. Here we will call it Test1. Enter and proceed to open this file. Now this data logging file is set, we need to do the same on the LCpro T or LCIT. This is the same method on both instruments. Select Logging and make sure that a file menu is selected. Make sure at this point that an SD card is also inserted. Insert an SD card behind the screen, upside down, like so. Once an SD card is inserted, press File menu and New File. Here you can change the file name also to Test1 to match the OS5p Plus file name. Use the green arrow to confirm. Exit this page, and now on both units the data logging files are set, and the dates and times on the recorded data will match for your measurements. It is best to use a tripod to position the chamber if you are taking multiple measurements on one plant. Otherwise, it may be easier to use the chamber freehand and quickly move between leaves. Position the fibre optic cable neatly behind the chamber. Position both units close together so that it will be easier to record measurements at the same time on both units. Find your sample plant and insert the leaf into the broadleaf chamber, like so. At this point, follow the LCpro T Quick Start guide to check that the system is ready and that your settings are correct. Once both systems are ready and your leaf is in place, find the Measure button on the OS5p Plus or OS1p and the Record button on the LCpro T or LCIT. Both of these buttons need to be pressed at the same time in order to make both a fluorescence and gas exchange measurement on one leaf at the same time. You can also use the small black button behind the chamber to take a measurement on LCpro T. This makes it much easier if you are carrying the chamber and it is not fitted to a tripod. Here I'm pressing both buttons at the same time. You can see test in progress on the OS5p and logging data on the LCpro T. You also hear a beeping noise on both systems to confirm that a measurement has been made. To repeat, again press both. You can also see the fluorescence trace appears on the OS5p or OS1p. It is not advisable to take several fluorescence measurements on the same area of leaf. I have made repeat measurements in this example just to illustrate the point. You can see the fluorometer flashing twice when you take a measurement. This is the actinic modulating and saturating flash given to the leaf by the OS5p Plus. You can also save the trace on the OS5p or OS1p by pressing Save TRC, Save Trace. This will keep a bitmap file image of the fluorescence trace together with your logged data in a separate file stored to the SD card. Enter the data management screen to see all of these files. So here we want to look for the test1 file. Use the downwards and upwards arrows to find files if you have several loaded. Here is our test1 data file. Press onto the name and press view. Here we can see 8 data points taken in this experiment. Date, time, sample number, FM and all the parameters are recorded here. Once you are happy this has saved, you can exit this screen. And now check the LCpro T data file. Press logging and test1 was running. If you stop the logging file, you can view the previous samples. If you wish to keep the same logging file, you can simply remove the SD card. Remove both SD cards and make sure that both cards are labelled. Save both data files from the SD cards to your laptop or computer device. You will have 2 separate data files with corresponding measurements made at the same time on the same date. Use any common software spreadsheet package like Excel to merge these 2 data sets so that you can analyse the fluorescence and gas exchange data from the same sample.